Fit, you're in it. You are in it. What's going
Hey,
on,
what's
man?
going on? Everything's going on all at once. Welcome to the show, everyone. I am Coach Michael J. Fitz, infidelity recovery specialist, creator of the 9 stages of infidelity, and over here we have
Yep, Thomas Isaac Castro, licensed marriage and family therapist in California. You guys know who I am. You're on our pages. You're connected with me. But there's nothing like who we are together. Me and Fit have tried to put something together where we can help you guys with relationships and with your life. Probably the biggest relationship that we hope to help you with is your relationship with yourself so that you can be in other relationships. So we're really focused on inside out things that mean like, man, I got to change my heart and my mind before I could change anybody else or change any other situation. Um, Man, we're back at it. I want to apologize to our audience for last week. I jumped off and we did an impromptu solo with Just Fit. And so actually, my audience, I'm not apologizing to you because you guys got some juice from Fit after I left. And so, anyhow, we're back now. We'll make it
they're
happen.
lucky because I was about to bust out my amateur jokes. I got some amateur
We have
stand-up,
some,
all right, that I was about to I
You're
was like,
gonna
you know
give it a
what?
try? You ready to give it a try? Yeah.
I was
Hey, we
going
got a
to.
good thing today. We got a good thing. Speaking of good jokes and good conversation, we're gonna jump in our private session. It's our monthly private session this week. We're going to be in here, answer questions and be here for whatever you guys need. But we did put a link already inside. So if you guys need to register for that, jump in there, register for it. It's not a charge to you. But we're going to be talking about how to actually do forgiveness um, in that session together. But for our show today, before we get into that, we just want to talk about how you can stop carrying around what's really kind of breaking you down. There's a song that actually has lyrics like that, I think a lot of us spend so much time on the heaviness and in it and stay in it, and we tell that story, and we can't let it go, right? And so, how do we actually let go of what's kind of holding us down? And we've all had that kind of scenario, right? So, yeah, let's work on it. I mean, we'll still do our red flag or real talk scenario, so you guys don't have to worry. That's going to happen today. But if you have questions, please pop them in the chat and let's make it happen. All right. So one of the things I think is important, you guys, is that you actually can't just take a scenario and be like, okay, I'm going to forgive in this situation, and then but I'm not going to forgive in the other scenarios. You actually kind of have to have a lifestyle like that, and that's weird. I know that changed over for me probably. I won't even put a timeline on it. It's been a long time, and I think it started happening when I was able to recognize that people would do things on the road, and I wouldn't be bothered.
Mhm.
Right? I wasn't holding
Yeah.
on to it. Like I could let people in if they needed to get in. Like I didn't. So from that, I started knowing like, okay, I think I'm different because I've been in the car with people who actually have transactions with other people in the car, right? Like, "Oh, what's going on? You're not getting in here. You got to jump in the back," type scenario. And so that let me know that I was probably on my way to being able to let things go a little bit better than
Yeah.
uh, what maybe I was raised to do, and or this just than just what I was around. And so I think that's a huge deal for us to be able to start realizing it's more in our lifestyle than it is just being able to forgive one thing.
Mhm. You're making it a lifestyle, taking
Mhm.
a mindset and using that to you adopt that mindset and
Mhm.
implement it into the way that you live. I remember a philosophy or a story that was by Vishen Lakhiani, the owner of Mind Valley,
Mhm.
and he was talking about this story when he was walking and this lady was walking in front of him and she dropped a candy bar wrapper on the ground and he was all mad that day and he picked it up and he walked up to her and put it in the trash can in front of her and he was like, I think you meant to do this, you know. And she's like, you know what, you're right, and I'm sorry I did. I just and she it jogs my memory. It was a long time ago hearing the story, but she was like, something really not good happened that day, and
Mhm.
she's like, and I was just I just wanted to eat that candy bar and just feel better, and I'm sorry." And then he just felt so like, oh, in that moment, right? And so, just things like that in when it comes to forgiveness, in being understanding and not knowing what someone is going through,
Yeah,
even when they're a certain way with you, or maybe they offend you in a certain way,
yeah,
being compassionate and understanding and going, I don't know what that person's going through.
yeah,
Not to be,
yeah. It's interesting because a lot of times we think we're in charge of other people, and we feel
yeah,
like, man, I'm in charge of other people. So if I don't forgive them, then I can punish them, right?
mm,
But if I forgive them, that's excusing their behavior. How can I forgive them?
yeah,
But
hmm,
you're not in
hmm,
charge of nobody anyways, right? So you're thinking like, I'm gonna not forgive them because then I'm making their behavior okay. They don't care about that. Somebody who's doing bad and
yeah,
trying to do bad can care less whether you forgive them or not.
hmm,
It's only the person
hmm,
who's really working on themselves cares about it. But at that point in time, you don't need to hold that person's feet to the fire, right? So it's interesting the way we kind of try to trick our minds about how powerful we are with forgiving or not forgiving. So the
hmm,
truth is like forgiveness is not you excusing somebody else from what they've done. Forgiveness is you not figuring out a way to tie yourself into what somebody else did. And so
yeah,
that's really what happens a lot of times is we try to tie ourselves into that and then we end up getting stuck. It becomes really weighty, right? So I think that's the first thing that people need to understand is like, look, it's me. It's not me holding somebody else or being in charge of somebody else. It's me being able to release that I am going to be in charge and I can be free now. Part of the
yep,
piece that matter in here is that you have, and this is what that creates, is you have a whole lot of emotional clutter as you try to figure out like, okay, if this person did this situation, what do I need to do, right? And the truth is, if you are not forgiving somebody, and you probably could speak to this as far as what you've seen too in your work, is it's not just a matter of okay, I don't forgive them. Usually, you look for validators to show you why you don't forget them or forgive them. So for instance, if somebody's like, man, my person, I caught my person talking to another one and and I can't forgive them, right? It's hard for me to do. So what do you do? Well, you start going to look for more validators that are talking to somebody else, right? Um, and so now everything they do that looks like it or whatever that scenario is, you've created this monster inside of you that you're really battling. Now that person's going to be what they are. I'm not saying that, it makes it go away or it doesn't make it go away. I'm just saying for us, like if we're not willing to forgive, then we start creating a whole lot of emotional clutter in there. Do you ever see anything like that?
all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's that it's that buildup, and the resentment. I know about it all too well.
Hmm.
And it's like, what you seek, you shall find. What you look for, you will always see. What you listen for, you will always hear. And
Yeah.
so, if that's what you believe about your partner, it doesn't matter what they do. You'll
Yeah.
if you get to that point where you look for it, you'll always find it, and you continue to go. Well, see, you don't get it.
Yeah.
You still you still haven't changed. So I'm gonna go ahead and hold on to that I'm gonna hold on to that forgiveness, or that resentment, like it owes me something.
Right.
Like if it's good for me, like if it's gonna benefit me. But
Mhm.
in that moment, we convince ourselves that it does benefit us
Yeah.
because it keeps us fill in the blank. Uh, because we keep seeing the evidence that they continue to keep doing whatever it is that we haven't forgiven them for. And so why should we if they keep doing it? Because, well, we keep seeing it, right?
Mhm.
So is it a matter of, are they actually doing it, or is it that we keep seeing it? Now, that's one, that may be tricky.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the healing, you guys, starts with us being able to acknowledge what's hurt us. And the truth of the matter is anytime that somebody's done some kind of transgression in the relationship, it doesn't matter what it is, we lose one of the three things that we're fighting about, or a couple of them. We fight about significance, control, and abandonment constantly. Like that's the human condition, right? So What's happening is you lose that scenario, and then your body goes into fight or flight mode, where it's trying to figure out, like, man, am I gonna lose one of those things again? And it goes into trying to protect you. So you're looking for things that actually are going to create safety, and that wiring, it gets kind of messed up the more hurt you get, because even though you're looking for something to like predict what's going to happen, because prediction creates a safety net for us, right? If I can know it before it happens, I can brace for impact. But really, you're kind of throwing yourself into the wrong state. And the reason I'm explaining all this is because we need to know how to undo it. So the undo of that is being able to name what's going on for you, so that we can really be real about what's happening, right? So the undo is like, okay, I just saw this person do X, Y, and Z. And that for me is reminding me of, or creating this sense that I don't have control over what's going on in my relationship, or I don't feel as important as I want to feel in my relationship, or I feel lonely in my relationship, right? So I can start identifying what's going on, instead of just going to, they did that and I don't know if I could ever trust them again. Right. And so I think that's really important for us to first just be able to name, and it'll set us free if we just name what's going on.
But what makes it so hard to name, right? Why?
Yeah.
Because we can name it here and we notice it, but then we hold on to it. We don't want to speak on it.
hmm
Why? Why do we do
hmm
that?
Yeah. I think a lot of times we're too busy doing this or this. When you're in fight or flight mode, like, you're not really thinking very much, right? Instead, you're just trying to fight for what it is that you're going for, and sometimes you swing and hit anything, right? And so I think that it's a slow down. We're going too fast, right? We're too much in the jumble of emotion, and that's what makes
Yeah,
it very
yeah.
difficult to have a clear sight and be able to focus. Instead, we just know our hurt, and that's so pronounced, right? That we can't see anything else. So it makes it really difficult to put into play the way that I was able to say it, which is like, look, that person did this, and it's catching me in these areas, right? Well, instead, it's like, that person did this, and I cannot trust them anymore, and I'm hurt, and it's not going to go right ever again. All those things start kicking up. And again, I think that's the forearm up and the swings. Well, often in relationships, and you were talking about this earlier, we hold on to that, and it builds resentment and resentment. And we're not saying anything, and it builds more resentment. We're not identifying, and it builds more resentment. Right? We don't know what to do with it, which we'll actually talk about that in our private session in a little bit. We don't know what to do with it, and then that builds resentment, and that is really the trouble, you guys. Is you're walking around with a lot of resentment, and I'll tell you, a lot of the resentment, a lot of times, is because you feel like somebody else can change your scenario. I know you won't say that sentence, but that's the truth. You're resentful because you feel like somebody else could change your scenario. What does that actually look like? If your partner did X, Y, and Z, I'd be better. If my partner didn't do X, Y, and Z, I'd be better. That's a recipe, a sneaky ingredient of good resentment, right? In order for us to do away with good resentment, we actually have to flip that, which is like, it doesn't matter what my partner is doing. At the end of the day, I still have an obligation to myself to pursue a higher version of me, and it's not behind resentment. So that's the challenge, is for us to not do a double whammy. Yes, you got hurt, but now it's not time to like hold on to that and have to carry the burden of that hurt. Only allow one. Don't create two, right? And sometimes not even about allowing one. One already happened, right? You have comments or follow up on that, Fit?
It's kind of like when they come in, when these things happen, it's almost like we label them as not important,
Mhm.
and slowly they keep collecting, and we don't realize that this happened, that happened, and though we get over it, or we don't care, or screw it, or whatever we say, it doesn't matter. It's all
Mhm.
good, but it still weighing on us. It's still inside of us. We still have not released it, and it's like we just continue to convince ourselves here and there and here and there, but meanwhile it all builds up,
Yeah.
and though we get over it, but it's still there. We're just over it, I guess, right?
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
We're so interesting as people, and I think we're all capable of getting to the spaces that we need to, and some of it is just knowing and being able to see it differently. I'm excited for you guys to have this information that we're giving you because I think it really is a cool opportunity for you to be able to set yourself free from some of the things that we kind of bind ourselves up into. So I'm excited for you guys to be able to have this. Hey, let's hit some red flag and real talk scenario. This is the forgiveness edition. All right. So, uh, you said you're over it, but you check their page daily. And I'm assuming their page daily is their like social media page. So is
Uh-huh.
that a red flag or does it need real talk?
Well, over what?
Whatever it is, any transgression.
All right. Well, I mean, it's a and so I
Maybe
can
it
only
has
choose
something to
one,
do with
right?
so you, if you could justify both, we'll take it.
I can al There's always an argument for both sides.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
checking their page daily is some real talk. Okay, so let's talk about that, Siri. I find out however you find out you that checking the page daily. Okay, so what's causing that?
Mhm.
Because two things: what's causing that, and what is that going to cause over
Yeah,
time,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Because that's why it's very important. Because it may not be causing so much at that moment, but underneath why that's happening, what that will cause over time is
yeah.
not good.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
yeah. Okay. Yeah, I like the real talk answer because to be honest, you're accidentally validating the wrong things. If you're looking for something like in your mind, you're accidentally validating the wrong things. Could you replace that time that you're checking pages with making a deposit in your relationship? So instead of scrolling, could you make a text message that says, "Hey, I care about you. I love you. I miss you," whatever the scenario is, right? And so what if you replaced your time? What if you replace the scenarios that you're doing? So instead of checking the page daily, could you do something else that would actually benefit your relationship instead of validate negativity? And or I mean, you're trying to look for something on there no matter what. And so I would like to just flip that. And that's the conversation that I would have. And ultimately it says that you're not really over it, right? If you're looking for some kind of thing, it says you're not over it. Okay. I don't think it's a matter of getting over it. Like you don't need to be over it. You can be hurt by what has gone on. But I do think that we need to move forward. The more we live in what has happened, the less likely we get to enjoy what's going on now. Okay. So that's what I would give them. I'll answer the next one. You say you forgave them, but you're still telling the story for sympathy. So no matter who you're telling the story to, you accidentally validating some of the negative emotions. Right? I can't say no matter who, because if you go to your therapist and they're doing it right, or you go to your counselor and they're doing it right, maybe it's just a matter of expression. And I know that we do that in some of my sessions as well. What you're not looking for is a validation that somebody else is wrong. That's where I think it gets really hurtful. So we'll give this a real talk scenario. It's hurtful whenever you're validating the behaviors as negative that somebody else did, right? So if a husband um, has a wife and she cheated, and he goes and tells all his family about her and how horrible she is, that scenario is going to create a certain kind of interaction that's not going to be good for their relationship because one is the people who he's telling the only goal is to like decrease her, right? So the flip of that might be useful though. Is like, look, we're having a struggle in our relationship, and I want to get better. And I know she's an amazing person. We're making mistakes right now. It's not going the way we want it to go, right? And that in itself speaks more to actually how it would look if you actually forgave them versus I'm just going to tell everything that has happened so that people can see that they're wrong, right? So how you do that is really important. If you're saying it for sympathy, that makes it really difficult to believe that there's a connection between how you're saying it and that you forgave. Any follow-ups with that one?
Yeah, sometimes I think that we express things too because not that we're necessarily looking for sympathy, but
Mhm,
because maybe it is, it's the same thing, but that we don't feel understood, or right there's still maybe we feel the need to express ourselves on those things because maybe there's something that, I mean, maybe it's something that maybe we haven't not forgiven, or maybe something that hasn't been validated, some insecurity that hasn't been secured in some way.
mhm,
Um, we will continue to bring those things up, possibly
mhm.
not for sympathy and or uh, just for the understanding.
Yeah. Yeah, the truth is, like, we look for connection a lot of times through our communication of hurt and pain, right? And I mean, we don't consciously, I think, do that, but the more conscious we are of doing it that way, then we probably will go to the right spaces for that, you know? And I don't think that it's bad to express or tell our story. Um, and but I do think if we're doing it for a certain reason, right, to belittle or to get validation, I think that could be harmful to our relationship for sure. All
Yeah,
right, so you set a boundary. This one's yours. You set a boundary, but feel guilty for needing it. Is that a red flag or is it real talk?
it's a real talk. Okay, and
Mhm.
I'm just gonna be on the real talk side today. All
All
right.
right, I love it. Me too.
This is a game right here. So if we're gonna game it up, I'm gonna have the maximum fun. All right. so so let's talk about that.
Mhm,
So I set a boundary, but I feel guilty for needing it, right? So I'm the one who set the boundary and I'm guilty for needing it.
mhm, mhm,
So then what I would think if I was that person and I'm the one feeling guilty, why am I feeling guilty?
mhm,
Because if this is the case, if this action, which I feel I require, I feel guilty for requiring it, is it that I should feel guilty for requiring this?
mhm,
Or is it that I'm looking for something to feel guilty about due to something else connected maybe to that or not directly connected to that? Maybe everything's connected.
mhm.
But in forgiveness, too, though we harbor the resentment towards others, but also towards ourselves as well. And sometimes we look for any little reason to beat ourselves up, because we haven't forgiven ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna go with real talk for you with you too, is because I think a lot of people don't know um, what's going on. And so codependency is a real thing that we frequently participate in, especially when there's some kind of abuse. And abuse probably seems like a harsh word, but believe it or not, I think on a daily basis, it's easy for us to do things that perpetrate abuse. Um, and then there's a lot of things that we're living with too on a daily basis. Um, but on in a codependency triangle, there's victim, perpetrator, and rescuer. And so often, whenever we go to set a boundary with somebody, which means we're trying to get out of the triangle, our bodies are used to still playing the game. And the guilty is a thing that helps us still participate in the game. How does guilty help us participate in the game? There's only two bases or three bases with two people playing. So if a person goes to the victim base, you either get to be the rescuer or the perpetrator. And guilt drives us, it's one of the feelings that drives us to another base, right? And in that scenario, that's where we get pulled back into the codependency. So what does that really look like besides the base concept? What it really looks like um, is I say, look, I'm not going to have a conversation about whatever that scenario is. Again, like I'm going to leave that alone. And the other person says, yeah, well, you never want to talk to me about X, Y, and Z. And now you start to feel guilty. And then you go back into the triangle and you start arguing again, right? Or you start having the conversations to nowhere again. And that scenario is actually what happens a lot of times. And in order for us to move out of that triangle, um, the guilt feeling could be there. That's just not the driving force for your behavior. What should be the driving force for our behavior? The driving force for our behavior is what is love. right? So how do I do the most loving thing here, the most empowering thing first towards myself and then for others? So the flip of that conversation that I was just having as an example is, look, I want to have conversations that bring us together, and I'm open to talking about anything that can help us move together. What do you need from me, or what do we need to do together that will help bring us together? Because this conversation isn't doing that, right? And so the more that we have conversations that actually are a part of moving towards love, guilt can't be there, right? As long as that's our focus. So we initially might say like, "Oh, I'm trying to move towards love," but then guilt pops up, right? And the more that we're saying like, "Actually, this is shaped in love, and I know that this is the why I'm doing it," the guilt starts dropping out. The more that we're like, "Oh, I need to make this person pay," and that's not a conscious statement, but a subconscious statement. This person needs to pay, or I'm going to win this one. Then the more the guilt shoots up. Okay, and so you guys have to really work towards being able to say, "Look, I'm moving in love here." And so I don't have to operate based on the guiltiness. I don't have to operate based on what that experience is. Okay. So it's a challenge to rework some of these things because these are automatic firing things. When we're driving a car fit, we never think about like, I need to press the gas now. I need to press the brake now. It's just when it's time to go, the light turns green, our foot hits the pedal. We don't even think about it, right? Or when it's time to stop, our foot hits the brake as soon as we know it's time to stop, and we don't even think about it, right? And so it's the same thing with our bodies whenever we're doing these interactions, is like we just go and we don't even think about it. And what we're asking people to do is like, let's think about it and wire a different way, then we can let it go on autopilot again, right? And so that's a huge deal for us to be able to have a different way of being able to experience that. And I think at that point in time, if we understand codependency, then that's the real talk that's needed in order for us to have a different situation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
hmm
Yeah.
I'm not gonna add to it because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You
Don't
know, it's
fix it.
just
Hey, we got a little bit of time before we break off into our session. Do we have any questions in there? I see my wife was in here. She has a laugh emoji, but I think it's really a big smile because she's excited to see us in here.
well,
Or maybe we told a joke.
you were telling some jokes earlier or something.
Oh, okay, that's good. She's
Yeah,
trying
yeah.
to.
hmm
And then it says Claire says hi, Claire. Thank you for joining us. And then we did post inside here, and I don't know because I'm not on that side of things, like in our Facebook and in our YouTube, if they can click that link. But I hope that they're able to click that link and register to be able to get in there. If not, I could also post it in our show notes as well. So I want
Yeah,
people
that link is to join us
to.
directly after the show. Uh, Thomas and I are going to have a private session,
Mhm,
and you are more than welcome to join us. We're going to get in there like right now. We're
mhm,
wrapping up right now, and we're going to get in there right now. And Mr. Castro here has designed a format for you, and I'll let him explain. And we're going to both be in there, and it's just a private session. And this one's free. This one's on the house.
mhm.
So you guys want to do some self discovery? You want to do some inner healing? You want to do that inner work? Here's your opportunity, right? And
It is.
it's
It
only
is.
30 minutes. So jump on in there, and we're going to get right to it.
Yeah.
Looking forward
All
to
right.
it.
You guys, so yeah, we're gonna work on being able to show you exactly like the pieces and the points that you need in order to be able to create what we've been talking about all month long, which is how do I get rid of this heavy off my heart, you know? And so the more that we can know like direct steps, and you guys can take those home with you and be able to use it all the time, I think the better that we're gonna be. Okay.
Join the circle. It's the forgiveness circle.
Hmm.
So join the circle,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And
Absolutely. I'm gonna put that link in there one more time so that people could have it. um, yeah, I think that's the best way for people to get in there, and then we'll go from there.
yeah, and that session's just going to be us. We're not going to be live. You're not going to be in there, and that's not going to be live streamed on any social platform or anything. It's just going to be
Yeah,
us in there.
yeah, it's closed. No platforms. All right, you guys. So we'll head on over and get started. We will see you guys in there if you've registered. Link is again inside of our show notes and on our YouTubes, on our Instagram. Um, yeah, Facebook. Boom, we're in it. We'll see you guys later. Have a good day.
I guess.